if a woman has not been exercising, it's important to find something that brings joy or pleasure.
Yeah.
And here's why. Our bodies are wired to avoid pain and conserve energy, but seek joy and pleasure. And seeking joy and pleasure will always trump the other two.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Family That Learns, and today we have back Miss Julie Browning, and today what are we talking about?
Women's health and wellness, and in particular exercise.
Love it. And I think that's something that isn't really talked too much about women's health, and I think, especially as we get older, it's super important. I know that when it comes to men's, I think when it comes to like health, it's always generalized to both men and women, but to really focus on women, I think that's huge. So let's kind of get into it. For those of you who don't know, can you introduce yourself again for people who haven't probably watched the first episode, which you should go back and check out Mrs. Browning's first episode, super amazing. But can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Julie Browning from here in Portland. And I've been an endurance coach since 2001, working with runners, cyclists, triathletes, mainly women, helping them with their goals. Not necessarily super competitive, can be, but just recreational weekend warriors.
I like it. I love it. Especially the weekend warriors part, because I feel that's where I thrive. Weekends. Throughout the week, I'm all right. All right, so we're talking about women's health. We'll start with the first question, which is, what are some important aspects of women's health we need to talk about?
Yeah, well, we can look at the four main pillars, right? Which is physical activity, nutrition, and I include hydration in there too, stress management, and sleep. But then behind that, there's these kind of sub-pillars that can be more important. Social health and wellness, having those strong relationships, having a sense of purpose, growing, and some of the health and wellness that we talked about in the last session. So there are these sub-pillars that are important also.
Yeah, perfect. What are important focuses for women over 40?
Well, women 40 plus start to experience some shifts in their hormones, and it can be a confusing time.
Yeah.
It can be suffering with little knowledge of what's going on, with little support. And so the woman's journey, well, each woman's journey is very different. And there are a lot of different symptoms that they can experience during this time, including some emotional disturbances like increased anxiety, cognitive issues, difficulty concentrating, mood swings, racing mind, brain fog, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like honestly horrible.
Yes.
But these things can happen individually. It can be one symptom. It could be all symptoms. So why are these, like, I guess, what are the first signs, I would say, that we should be kind of really focusing on our health? Is it just at 40, or is it more of a symptom starts happening, so now we have to be proactive? Or
Yeah, as we start to go through that perimenopause phase, which can start in our 40s, and typical age when it ends is 52 in the US, so it can be this 10-year transition period, so it's pretty significant. And there's a lot of, we'll call them symptoms, from the emotional ones to sleep issues, weight gain, headaches, dizziness, there's a whole bunch. So just understanding what they are, and then how to work with that.
Definitely. Is there a big difference between women that maybe have kids and don't have kids? Like, is there like a big, I mean, I would imagine there's definitely a difference when you've had a baby to your body, but like, is there like a huge difference between those like two lifestyles, I would say?
Yeah, it's a good question, and all I can say is every woman's journey is unique to them. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason sometimes.
Got it. No, that makes total sense. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what health and wellness actions can help with, this perimenopause?
Perimenopause.
Perimenopause.
Yeah. It is, so there are lifestyle changes we can make. We can double down on sleep hygiene. Let's make sure we're getting good sleep. Without good sleep, it's really hard to control stress, figure out how to fit exercise in, and do the other pieces that are important. So I'm really big on some lifestyle pieces.
So you say sleep hygiene, so like meaning like how do you get to sleep? Is that what you mean? Or?
Yeah, sleep hygiene are things that we can do to prepare our body to go to sleep. So not using your phone a couple of hours before you go to bed, dimming the lights, not getting light in your eyes. We want to produce melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. Not eating or drinking late at night, because that will put our body in digestion mode, not sleep mode. So sleep hygiene, and again, it's a different for different people. Some people will need really dark rooms, really quiet rooms, cool rooms. So figuring out what sleep hygiene is important to you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I think if you live in a city, it's super hard because you're always hearing cars driving by, honking, sirens, all these things. So like definitely trying to figure out a way to honestly have noise cancellation or blackout curtains are also super helpful. They have these new things where it's like this giant ring over your head and it's like a pillow slash like earmuffs and eye shield and everything like that. And I'm like, I want to get one of those because I live right clear next to like bars and everything like that. And at certain times it's a little distracting, especially when you get the hoot and hollering of the young people, which is coming soon because it's going to warm up. And then once it gets warm, the people come out, as they would say.
Right, yeah.
Perfect. So you talk about lifestyle changes. So what are some other lifestyle changes we need to really start thinking about?
So exercise can start looking a little different too.
Okay.
Yeah, and so if a woman has not been exercising, it's important to find something that brings joy or pleasure.
Yeah.
And here's why. Our bodies are wired to avoid pain and conserve energy, but seek joy and pleasure. And seeking joy and pleasure will always trump the other two.
Yeah.
And so if we can find a form of exercise that it brings some joy or pleasure, we're going to keep coming back to it.
Yeah.
And so it can be as simple as just walking. So just getting outside, walking, borrow someone's dog, take it for a walk.
Borrow someone's dog and take it for a walk. I like that idea. It's like, you know what? I don't want a dog, but I want to borrow your dog. Your dog looks amazing. I'll take him every Tuesday.
Perfect. Yes, do it.
No, that has actually been my main enjoyment and movement is walking. We have a 5K that we're doing in July, and I did the Shamrock Run, and it was super awesome. So walking has definitely been something that I personally enjoy doing a lot more. Hiking, I'm getting there, but walking, I will walk around the track for an hour easily.
Nice. Walking is so undervalued. It really is. And we want to look at it in terms of exercise, but also the therapeutic benefit too.
Yes.
Not just always think about physical activity as a workout.
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge therapeutic benefit.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I feel, even though like I feel like, oh, I'm not like sweaty and like breathing hard and all that stuff, but I definitely feel a lot better. I feel a lot easier to go to sleep at night and easier just to like move around, just getting the joints moving and everything like that. So that's super huge. Yeah,
for sure. And it doesn't have to be a huge block of time. I like to call it exercise or movement snacking.
Ooh, I like it.
So instead of saying, well, I don't have 60 minutes, I can't work out. You got 10 minutes, you can go walk.
Oh yeah.
Movement snacking, exercise snacking.
You can eat a burrito and walk. I've done it. So your lunches are definitely mobile, I've been told. All right, so next, like what are some exercises that you feel that might be, I would say like your top 3 exercises that you would say everyone should like start thinking about, even I would say after 40, but also even as you're young.
So if you are exercising and it's part of who you are and you want to take it to the next level,
Yeah.
then there are different ways that we can exercise, these different exercise modes.
Yeah.
And so instead of just thinking about cardio, which is that steady pace, to think about,
jog, as they would say.
yeah, high intensity, it's super valuable. You've probably heard of HIIT training or
Yes.
high intensity interval training. And then, body weight strength training is great at building a foundation, but to really build strength, you need to lift heavier. So not being scared of the heavier weights.
Get a spotter.
Get a spotter, yes.
Super important. Make a friend of the gym.
Yes.
Or, I that person that you feel like, hey, I know this seems really weird, but I'm gonna be about to, bench this 300 pounds. Could you just be there in case I die?
Yes, yes.
Super important.
Good, super important. Good technique, yes. And then, we've kind of been told low impact is best for our joints, when in fact a little impact is good for us. So thinking about some, we call it jump training.
Yeah.
So just 3 different areas to expand your workouts.
Yeah. I think, especially the new thing is plyometrics. I keep seeing it on TikTok and everything like that. And I think when people see plyometrics, they're like, oh, that guy who jumps over like these 3 boxes and all that stuff. But it can be very simple, or it can just be like a little step. Or honestly, and this has been my new thing, I like taking the stairs. I live on the 4th floor, so like I like taking my stairs down. I don't like climbing up. That's just me. I'm not that guy. I have an elevator to carry me up. But going down the stairs, that little bit of impact, that does help. And then of course we have the stairs at work, which it's only 2 floors, but it feels like it's like six floors to come up to here. I don't know what it is. It's the marble. It's the marble. That's the only example. That's the only reason.
So yeah, the plyometrics or the jump training, it doesn't have to be hard or complicated. It can be simply trying to jump up a couple of inches.
Yeah.
It can be jump rope. It could be just jumping from one foot to the other. It doesn't have to be any elaborate equipment, but the benefits are huge. It helps with bone density, which is a huge concern for women as we get older. It helps with blood sugar control. And the other piece that we don't think about, our muscles lose the ability to turn on and off quickly as we get older, so everything kind of becomes steady. And so when we do this jump training and do something at a little higher speed, it helps with that speed of muscle contraction, keeps our muscles healthy.
Get those quick muscle twitch fibers going.
Yes.
Because I think that's also another thing is like people don't think of like if you don't use it, you will lose it. So like if your ability to go up steps, and you stop going up steps, you're eventually gonna make it where it's gonna be hard for you in the future to go up steps. If you're having a hard time sitting up, and work on those things, those movements that like you do every day at work or anything like that, I think that's super important. And especially if like as you get older, I mean, I've worked in retirement facilities or the old folks homes, and it's really is sad when you see honestly a 65-year-old man who can't walk down the hallway without a walker. And yet you see on, like, if you go to Florida, you see 85-year-old woman who's jogging every day with her lady friends, and no walker, lives on her own, and all these things. I'm just like, it can go to both extremes. You can be very active, you can also be very inactive, and the body adapts to whatever environment it's in. So if you're in a constant state of, I like to be at rest, your body will put you at rest forever if you don't do anything about it. So that's huge.
It is, yeah.
All right, so next we're gonna talk about what is LHS.
Oh, lifting heavy stuff.
Yes.
So looking at, if there's one thing, if you want to get the most bang for the buck, is lifting heavy weights.
Okay.
But having a foundation first, making sure your body's prepped and ready to lift heavy, work with a trainer, be safe. But lifting heavy is so good. It helps with bone density more than the impact. It's when those muscles pull on the bone, stimulates the bones to stay strong. It affects blood sugar in a good way. It helps increase muscle mass. So muscle burns more fuel.
Yeah.
And so it increases our metabolism.
Yeah.
And it helps with cardiovascular health markers. It's so good, so good.
And I think that's something that like people kind of take for granted, that ability to lift up a small child or, you know, a 50-pound kid, you know, that's like, what, that's a 10-year-old maybe? I don't know. Who knows anymore? But, you know, that 50 pounds is huge. And I've seen situations where, you know, even young people like me, like that ability to lift, you know, 100 pounds or something like that, you can be very taken for granted because emergency situations, and people don't really think about like emergency situations happen all the time. So like if someone trips and falls, to be able to catch someone and at least let them fall gently is huge. And you know, people don't think about those things, but it is one of those situations where even the one trippers, I'm famous for my one trip when I go get groceries, being able to carry all 10 bags all at once. You know, it saves time, it's efficient, so get strong, y'all. Get strong is key. So we talked a little bit about jump training, but is there anything else that can help women or that like is super important that we don't talk about?
Yeah, I want to go back to the HIIT, the high intensity interval training, because what I love about these workouts is they're short, 20 minutes, that's it, and then you're done. And so what they look like, normally for me, I pick 5 exercises. It could be jumping jacks, it could be burpees if you want to get really crazy.
Oh, burpees, the vein of resistance, but they're good for you.
They are, but pick 5 exercises that you maybe have equipment for or don't need equipment, and it's just doing it for 45 seconds and then taking 15 seconds to transition to the next exercise. And then 45 seconds, so it's 45, 15. And you do that for 20 minutes and then you're done. And just, so it's kind of that little circuit training. But you could also use, if you are a runner or a cyclist or a rower, whatever machine you have, you can use that too. So you can do 45 seconds of sprint type, hard effort, and then 15 seconds rest. So yeah, the high intensity interval training, I love it because it's short and sweet. It's hard.
It's definitely hard. It's definitely hard.
Short and sweet. But yeah, but then back to your question about what else could we be doing, right? There's always core work. Core work is good. Pelvic floor work for women as we get older gets important. And then mobility work. So whatever that looks like for you, whether that is yoga or it's foam rolling. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I am a big foam roller.
Okay. So yeah, mobility work becomes pretty important as we get older.
So you talked a little bit about pelvic floor. What is pelvic floor for those that maybe don't know about that?
There are pelvic floor physical therapists that you can work with, but to maintain the integrity of our pelvic floor for women as we get older is really important.
What may happen if you don't maintain those things?
Yeah, a lot of women can suffer from what's called stress incontinence, which is not very nice. And so pelvic floor health is super important.
Okay. So peeing themselves.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
No, it's okay. We're all adults, and
we are.
You know, there might be some children watching this, but this is important. If you don't take care of yourself, these things can happen. There's always something. Perfect. Well, is there anything else you want to kind of talk about when it comes to that we haven't actually like covered that I think you feel is like personally important for to like talk about?
The main thing is find something that you enjoy, right? That's going to make it happen more.
Definitely.
Stay challenged. Walk. Walking is super undervalued, underappreciated. And you can get a lot done in 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be a 60-minute workout. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Perfect. And again, if people wanted to maybe sit down and have a one-on-one with you, how can they get a hold of you? Yeah, my website is breakawaycoachingpdx.com. Perfect, and we'll put it down below, and we'll of course put it in the description. Thank you so much for talking about women's health, and you know, we appreciate it. And for those of you out online, make sure you, of course, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know what is the next class that's going to be happening.
We do these classes every week, and thank you so much for being here. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys later.